everybody? Welcome back to another installment of the Fantasy Cast. He's Ty White. I'm Lochlan McTagg. Welcome back. We are just days away from the Super Bowl now. It's officially Super Bowl week. Getting excited, getting really excited. We've got tons of stories to share. We've both been up to a ton recently since we last recorded for our divisional previews with our friend Will Azaparty. And yeah, so before we get into it with the football talk, I think we're both going to share a few stories from the past couple of weeks because I know you've definitely got some, Ty. I have a couple as well. So yeah, feel free to share away, Ty. How are you?
I'm great, Loch. It's good to be back. It seems like a long time since that Will episode. I totally forgot that he was on the last one and we did those
So
predictions.
much has happened.
Oh yeah. Horrible predictions, by the way. I mean, I was literally 0 for 2.
Yeah.
Hideous. But we'll get to that later. I've been great, thank you. Have been really busy. Especially on the broadcasting and job front of things. I've been working a lot, but have also on top of work had the chance to broadcast games for my school as well for TMU, but also I got to go home this was I think 2 weeks ago, nearing 2 weeks ago now.
It's the 27th, wasn't it? Of
Yeah,
January? Yeah.
and I called the McPherson hockey tournament, which is our high school's big hockey event of the year, with a guy who actually taught both of us, kind of like showed us the ropes of how to broadcast. His name is Mr. Fenning. So that was a pleasure. Really loud, busy night, the loudest that I think I've ever seen it. And it was awesome. I saw a bunch of people there, a bunch of not only former students, but teachers as well. The open bar was fun, to say the least, afterwards.
Yeah, my parents were telling me that the open bar was quite the hit at that event. So
yeah, it was, oh God, it was fun.
Enough said, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. And not to mention your parents were there and a bunch of other parents were there too. So that was great. And that was a fun day because I broadcasted 2 games in one day. I did one in the morning, then one at night. And then the next day I had work as well on top of everything. And my voice was actually gone. Like it was almost completely gone. So I was sipping like hot water, lemon, and honey for like 5 hours to try to like nurse myself back to health. And that's never
the
really
best. That's the best, eh? That's you're just living the life at that point.
Yeah. So it was pretty wild. And then I did a game that Sunday as well. That was probably the big event for me. We talked about it a little bit last episode, but I was so fortunate enough to do PA announcing for the Premier Hockey Federation, which is essentially the women's NHL. That's basically what it is. And they were, thank you very much. They were here.
Huge hi there.
Thank you very much. Well, they were at the Mattamy Athletic Center, the Maple Leaf Gardens, and it was so cool because it was my first ever professional production and in professional sports for professional athletes. And it was broadcasted on TSN and ESPN2 in the US, which was, I mean, pretty awesome. I mean, I love Canada, but I love the United States as well, and particularly broadcasting there. So to be able to say I was on TV in the US was a pretty neat feeling. They said my name on live TV as well, which is something that my parents heard live watching.
Yeah, I did catch a little bit of that because I tried to watch the playback just to see a little bit, and I know well. Yeah, because I was curious in general to see like how much, because you never know with PA announcing what the I guess the attribution would be, if that's even a word.
Yeah, I know what you mean though.
Like the giving credit to the PA guy. Sometimes they do it on broadcast, sometimes they don't. But even on like I've been seeing recently too in the last like week or so, a lot of players that were at the PWHPA All-Star game.
Yeah.
They post clips on their Instagram, and part of their clips is them being announced, and it's your voice on the announcement. So
how's about that?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I've seen it. I've seen it recently with a few players as well.
Awesome.
So your voice is definitely making waves. No pun intended there around social media and whatnot.
Yeah. So thank you, Loch. But it was an amazing experience. I got to work with a producer who was beside me the entire time, giving me directions and stuff like that. And it was so cool. It was definitely the hardest time I've ever had PAing because you were hands-on for the entire experience, but it was such an amazing time. I have media credentials back there. I even got a souvenir puck.
Oh, that's so
Uh,
cool.
yeah, that one of my friends actually helped snag for me. He was photographer for the event. But yeah, it was awesome. It was such a cool experience, and I'm very grateful for it. But on the other hand, Lachlan, you've been up to a lot out
Yeah,
west.
yeah. Well, I've been up to a lot down here as well, and I know, yeah, I was kind of bummed out that I couldn't come back for a weekend potentially for McPherson,
Mm-hmm.
because I know obviously we did the call last year in Buffalo, and
Yeah,
that was a ton. We had a ton of fun that weekend.
that was
We
amazing.
did the food tour around
The
Buffalo and
food
stuff.
tour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah, like I had a lot of fun obviously calling games with you, and I think it was nice too that you got to call your Friday night game finally.
Yeah.
Obviously being
Yeah.
away at Harvard
Hmm.
for Model UN, those the back in the Model UN days for you.
Oh yeah.
On the bus
Awesome.
back from Boston, the nine
Yeah.
hour trek or whatever it was,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then obviously COVID threw a wrench in things. And I mean, last Friday night's game, like last year's Friday night McPherson game was cool,
Mm.
but it was in a small arena at the University of Niagara,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not the same as calling it in there. And
For sure.
I definitely missed it a little bit, but I also had a prior commitment going on. I've been calling a few games
Oh yeah.
of the last. I've called 3 games actually in the last 2 weeks, which is nice. Really
Mm.
getting in the rhythm. And I have one coming up as well in a couple weeks too, again, which is cool. But I called a couple women's basketball games against Washington State on that Friday night,
Oh
and
yeah.
then Sunday afternoon, the day of the championship games, I called another women's basketball game against Washington. So I actually called their weekend series on our radio station, Blaze Radio.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. And women's basketball is a great sport to call as well, because you know, like a lot of times with men's basketball, like if you're new to play by play, and like those are my first 2 basketball games I've ever called, right? Like
Yeah.
I've primarily done hockey, and there's quite a few parallels with like pace and stuff between hockey and basketball, but I found like I really got comfortable in basketball because the pace of women's basketball versus men's is a lot more manageable, where you can actually digest what's going on instead of trying
Sure.
to really make stuff up off on the fly.
Yeah.
So I found that really cool. And then I was actually at the Mullet Arena last weekend.
How about that?
I called the women's hockey senior night game.
That's amazing.
They played Michigan State, and yeah, we weren't quite in the upper broadcast booths. They had some of the private loge sections knocked out for us, and we had a bunch of broadcast crews. Yeah, they have a whole whack of TV broadcasts going on there on Facebook and elsewhere as well. And I met like a lot of those teams, and they kind of recruited me for next year. So I think I'm going to be broadcasting a lot more women's hockey games next year.
That's amazing.
Good.
That was
And
the first
then,
time in the
yeah.
mullet, calling it in the mullet, right? Calling
Yeah,
it in
yeah,
the
it was
mullet.
great. It was great. The
That's
sight
amazing.
lines are awesome. You can see everything, and at the end of the day, you know, you're calling a game in an NHL arena, so it's just pretty cool.
Yeah.
Whether you
are.
like whether people like it or not, Mullet Arena does house an NHL team. So
100. Yeah. That's so true. Calling it in a professional arena. That's
yeah. And then I got another new sport coming up too in a couple weeks. On the 18th, I'm calling a softball game.
Oh, how's
Yeah.
that? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Former baseball player yourself?
Yeah.
I would have seen it. Oh yeah.
One thing I didn't realize as well, though, is like, and I don't know if you realize this too, is how huge softball is in the States for college.
Very.
I didn't
confident, yeah.
realize like the coverage, like how hard pressed, like it's pretty competitive to get a lot of these spots
Sure.
calling. So the fact that I got a softball game, I think there's something like, I don't know, 12 or so home games.
Yeah.
And most of the guys calling that are upperclassmen. Like I'm one of a few freshmen that got in there, which is just good. I'm happy about.
Absolutely.
But like I didn't realize. I was like, oh geez, like I didn't, because they're like, yeah, like Pac-12 took a lot of our Pac-12 network took a lot of our like airtime and stuff. I was like, oh really? Like interesting. I thought softball would be like a little bit more wide open. They're like, oh no, like it's huge. So
Yeah.
I had no clue.
Mm.
But yeah, anyway, that's coming up. And then obviously I am right in the heart of Phoenix. So Super Bowl mania is going off right downtown, right down the street from me, basically.
Yeah.
So
What's that like?
yeah,
What's the atmosphere like there?
I mean, a couple weeks ago they started closing off streets and setting stuff up,
Okay.
but in and around the convention center, basically because you remember walking around a little bit,
Sure.
right? When you were here in Phoenix, like most of the stuff, the closer you get to Footprint Center where the Suns play,
Yeah.
it's pretty blocked off,
Mm.
except for the main east-west streets that you can't really close because those are the main arteries in and out of Phoenix.
Sure.
But it's blocked off, heavily policed, black vehicles driving around all the time, bringing people in from the airport and stuff. Like everyone's getting here. Like if they're not here now for the Super Bowl, they're like celebrity wise, like they're gonna get here within the next 24 hours for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah, like I a couple of my friends went out and saw Austin Eckler actually at the hotel nearby here. He was eating dinner outside.
What a guy.
Some people. So, because yeah, all the NFL honors candidates as well are all here.
Yeah. I didn't even
yeah.
think about that.
Yeah.
That the NFL, that is so true.
So everyone
What day
who's
is that
nominated,
taking place? What day?
I believe it's Saturday.
Okay.
Friday or Saturday. I believe it's Saturday.
Do you know where they're hosting it?
I think it's either at the convention center. It might be the convention center. It might be Footprint Center.
Okay. That completely slipped my mind. I forgot about the NFL honors. Yeah, you're right. So many of the players and NFL legends and stuff.
Yeah, they're all
there.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually right now too at the Cronkite School where I'm at, the Fox Super Bowl crew is giving a live chat right now. So some of the crew are in Cronkite in the big forum there doing a chat. So all the people are in town, and people are trying to go around and spot Rihanna too, where she at.
Oh yeah.
I actually know where she is staying, but for other reasons I can't really. I shouldn't disclose that.
Yeah.
One of my friends works at the hotel that she's staying at, as well as like a lot of other of the celebrities and stuff, and I just shouldn't say which hotel it is.
Probably not, bro. But if you did, we'd make national news maybe.
Yeah, I wouldn't really want the headline Cronkite journalism student leaks location of Rihanna
and so many other superstars.
Yeah. But yeah, and going forward with the Super Bowl, obviously went to opening night, and it was interesting because Footprint Center is obviously where the Suns play, and any concert that comes to town is either at Chase Field, the baseball stadium, or at Footprint. It's a 16,500 seat arena.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the smallest capacity arena in the NBA, but like every NBA stadium is between like 17 and 19,000, I feel like. So being the smallest isn't like that. It's not a huge margin. No, it's not like Mullet Arena compared to Scotiabank Arena or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, that was interesting. Like they didn't really tell us much, like Blaze Radio that is going into it. Like they just said like we're gonna be able to go. So we're like, oh damn, like are we gonna be on the floor? Like what's gonna happen here? Like are we gonna be able to do stuff? Like we were nowhere close to getting on the floor. No credentials, nothing. We just like got free tickets, which is what it is.
It's still really cool though.
Yeah, I actually saw Demario Davis and TJ Hawkinson inside.
Like in like the concourse?
Yeah, they were signing autographs in a booth in the concourse.
Wow.
They did not want to be there.
No.
Oh my God. Demario Davis had his big like Pit Viper shades on. The guy, I feel bad for those guys, man, because like Hawkinson too, like he looked just like so like mellow face, just like get me out of here, man. Because he was just at the Pro Bowl too the day prior. Like this was on the Monday, right?
Yeah. So he was in Vegas. And then
Sunday he was in Vegas at the Pro Bowl, and then now you're asking him to fly to Phoenix to sign autographs. Yeah. For fans that don't really like you that much, and for cheering for teams that are in the Super Bowl when you're, not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it was interesting. But then, walk into the arena, it's pretty packed in there. I would say about 10,000 people at least were in there.
Wow.
I was getting really sick of the Eagles chants.
Oh, bugger.
People singing "Fly Eagles Fly" and then the EAGLES Eagles. Yeah, like all that was going on.
Yeah.
Um, all the concessions were open too, so people were grabbing food, drink, you name it, out of all the concessions. So
Yeah.
the concourse was packed. There was also another thing too. There's the fan zone.
Okay.
It sounds cool because you're on the floor and there's actually 2 media booths there.
Oh,
But in
nice.
reality, it's like they only take 150 people at a time. The line was like so long.
Oh, I bet.
And then we saw it from our seats, where the fan zone was. Like they cram you in there like friggin' sardines. You're like
No
in the
room.
corner. You're like on the corner of the floor. And
Yeah.
everyone's just like crammed in this like tight little space in the corner. Where meanwhile, like all the journalists and all the media guys are just like having like this massive space to just move around.
Yeah.
I mean, rightfully so, right? Like you look at like Jalen Hurts' media availability, Mahomes' media availability, like all
Yeah.
the big players were all like swarms of crowds. And then, you know, other guys would just kind of have like 4 or 5 people asking them questions. And
Sure. But
yeah,
one
it
cool
was
thing that
cool.
I did see, you saw the host of NFL Red Zone live and in person.
Yeah, that was interesting. I
Mr.
didn't think he was real. I didn't think he was real.
There he was though.
He's
flesh.
very, very real.
Yeah. That's so sick. And it's amazing to say in some capacity that the fantasy cast was represented at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hoping down the line, you know, obviously getting some kind of credentials to something like that would be cool. But unfortunately, I mean, this is in my time here at Arizona State, unless I do some like 4-year master's program, which at this point seems a little unlikely, a little bit. Obviously, being a second semester freshman, I'm not really ruling a whole lot out yet. But unless that happens, there's not going to be another Super Bowl in Phoenix. So just kind of trying to soak it all in was the main focus. But
absolutely,
if the Super Bowl was in Phoenix again in like 2-3 years, I wouldn't necessarily pay money to go to that event.
Yeah.
Or go in general. It was kind of overrated. You know, you just you walk around, you see people who are just diehards for their team. It's also different too, like, you know, still the kick in the below the belt from the Bills loss, and you're just you're like, oh geez, like you know,
like a Buffalo was there. Completely different story, probably.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty rowdy if Bills Mafia made the trip down, but overrated. I think in general for what they're charged, because some tickets were like $60.
Wow,
like for admission, and I'm like, oh my god, like that's ridiculous. Just to sit in a seat and spend money on food and drink, and just to see like players answering questions. The one cool thing they had was like they had both teams come up on stage and stuff and like wave to the fans, but they were on stage for like 2 minutes and they all just got off and like went home. And then there was a moment there where like the captains of the Chiefs and Eagles like shook hands and stuff, and you know they're making a big deal because the next time you'll see these two together, it's gonna be the Super Bowl. It's like
no sugar.
You don't say. We saw Travis Kelce. I saw Travis Kelce's mom actually on stage too.
Wow.
She had a like a
and Jason Kelce's mom.
Mrs. Kelce.
Mrs. Kelce was out there.
I guess Mrs. Kelce. She had a great jersey on because she had Travis's Chiefs on one side, and then Jason's Eagles jersey on the other side sewed together.
Was it half and half, or was it like the front and back?
It was front and back.
Oh, very cool.
So 87 on the front, and what is he, 62 on the back?
On the back. Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, saw it, a bunch of people yelled at Arash Madani from like 10 rows up and told him I'm Canadian, and he waved at me.
Did he actually? That's so cool.
He gave me like a side eye. That was strange. I was like, oh shit. Oh,
all right.
I was like, oh damn. Didn't really mean to bother you.
Yeah, that's so sick though. That I actually didn't know that he was there. Well, Canada sends some kind of media.
Well, I mean, the Bar Down guys were there.
No
Like
way.
Luca from Bar Down was there, but I only saw that via Instagram. I didn't see that. I didn't see him at all there.
Yeah.
But because like if you look at some of the story posts that I had and the reel we posted on our account, it's like it looks like from where I was and anywhere in the stands, it's just like looks like just ants moving around. Like the way the lighting was and stuff
Yeah.
in footprint, it was a little bit darker, and you had like the green and purple theme from the Super Bowl, kind of
Yeah.
that the lights were displaying that throughout. So it
Mm.
was darker. You couldn't really tell who was what and stuff. Like, but
Did
yeah,
you,
it was
while you
cool.
were there though, other than Arash Madani, did you see any big journalists, or like was a Schefter there, or did you recognize
We didn't see
anyone
Schefter.
else?
Saw Michael Irving. Yeah, Michael Irving was going around and interviewing people, so he was kind of moving throughout. But other than that, like the media scrums are just so hard to are so hard to like pick out who's where and who's
Sure.
what, because everyone in the media is wearing like roughly the same color, and it's dark colors,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
the lighting was dark as well. So all you can really see is just like people with cameras, lights, microphones, like the whole media setup. So it was kind of tough to see that, I'd say.
Okay. The one question also, probably the most important question. Did you see Guillermo from the Jimmy Kimmel show?
I did not.
No, he was.
I did
Was he there?
not. I was looking. I was trying to look.
Yeah.
And I was even like, we made our way around the whole stadium concourse and stuff, and we looked in. By the way, too, people were giving us a really hard time. Like the ushers there, like I know they're just doing their job, but like if I stood there for longer than 5 seconds, they're like, "Hey, like you need to go." I'm like, "Well, all right, okay, thanks."
Buggers.
Yeah. So
Taking their job too seriously.
yeah, yes, yeah,
Yeah. Buggers. Come on, man.
yeah.
But you didn't see him. You didn't see
Yeah.
little Guillermo.
No, I didn't.
I
couldn't spot
assume he
him.
was there. No.
He had to have been. He had to have just been like floating though. You know how they are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Float around, ask them the obscure questions.
I can't wait to see the Jimmy Kimmel thing then, because they always release something with Guillermo before the Super Bowl. So
Yeah. I just can't help but think for like the players how like daunting or cool that is. Because I know for a lot of the guys that didn't really get interviews on both teams, like when they were on stage, they were really like soaking it all in. Like they had their phones out there filming stuff. They were
yeah.
making sure they really took a good look around, which is cool. Because I wonder like from their perspective what it's like, and from like a more star player like a starter's perspective on both ends of the ball, like what it's like. Is it like a hassle, or it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, because they got off both the teams arrived here on Sunday,
Yeah.
and then now that like Monday night, you gotta like no time to settle in. You just gotta go do your media availability and see
Absolutely.
what happens.
Well, I think it depends probably, like, I don't know, for someone like Mahomes who's been here twice before, I'm pretty sure he's like, it's whatever. But for other guys who are experiencing their first Super Bowl, like Juju or something like that, was probably really cool. But
Yeah,
I don't know, that might just be me, or the whole thing.
yeah.
Might suck,
The scrum around Mahomes and Hurts was crazy.
I bet. Yeah.
It was like, if you look
How
at
many
it
people do you think were there, ballpark?
in the scrums
Yeah.
with
like
those
for-
two,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
at least 100.
Really.
It had to have been. It had to have been.
Just around him. I wonder what, like, did you see anything unfolding, like when they first got over to their media stations? Was it like a scrum to get there? Were people like rushing in to go get a spot, or
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no, because they situated the coaches in the same spots and the quarterbacks in the same spots.
okay?
And like after that, it was kind of like you're just assigned to this bay and whatever, and they pop up on the screen. They like the name slot goes in on the top. So if like some reporters see that like Miles Sanders' slot is now being taken by Frank Clark, then people disperse and stuff, and then some people would crowd in around Frank Clark, like 10, 12 people or whatnot. But Um, the quarterbacks were in the same spot and the head coaches were in the same spot. So
Mm.
it made it pretty easy to just kind of like go back and forth and not have to like walk all the way around. But it was fascinating though to watch like the movement on the floor
Mm.
as well with the host desks on the because it was televised too.
Yeah.
To watch like the host desks and stuff and like obviously like Michael Irving going around interviewing people and the movement on the floor is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like an awesome. Like I know you mentioned, you probably say it's a little bit overrated, or at least to go back, but to be there for any reason is still really, really sick that you were able to go and do that.
Yeah, I mean obviously like super super thankful that I had the opportunity to experience it because honestly
Yeah.
like I don't know if you're like this as well, but like
Mm.
as Canadian NFL fans, like I didn't really know it was a thing.
Yeah.
Right? I had no like and maybe it is just in Phoenix, but like prior to this, I couldn't really think of a venue in any other like host place that would like willingly host like 12,000 fans
Yeah.
to just like be in an arena and watch.
Yeah, like the Super Bowl or football, I think is the only sport that does that because I like there is and I know there's a finals media day for the NBA. I'm not sure what the NHL does or baseball,
But like
but
fans
they
aren't
don't yeah,
allowed.
you're
Yeah,
right though.
like
They don't have it's closed event. It's only reporters. So the NFL is very unique like that.
yeah, like I found it like I was walking in, I was like, oh geez, like this is just every media booth that you see on TV. It's just we're in a full NBA stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I know for the NFL honors, they do have some fans in there as well. But they pack them at the very top where they can't get down to the elite people down there. Some crazy Eagles fans, man.
Yeah,
Can't let them on the loose. But
no.
pretty I don't know who's hosting NFL honors. Is it Steve Harvey again? I know this is so weird because I've watched all the videos online. The last time the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, it was Rob Riggle hosting that. Do you even know who that is?
I don't think I do.
You know who he is, but you might not know his name. Rob Riggle is the guy from um 21 Jump Street, who's the teacher that goes to jail. He was also in Step Brothers. The guy who
Oh, yeah.
he was like do you know who I'm talking about
What a
now?
random NFL honors host.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. He was in Modern Family too. He played Gil Thorpe, Modern Family, like
Oh my
Phil's enemy.
god. Yeah.
But yeah, that guy's a big NFL fan. Yeah. So
That's crazy.
yeah. A lot of celebrities in town too, because I'm just going back and think I've watched lots of times watching those NFL honor videos. So many celebrities end up going to
Yeah.
these because they love football. A lot of people like celebrities love football.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're an American celebrity, you obviously grew up watching it probably as a kid.
Mm.
So
You got
if-
5 racks to drop on a game. Why not?
yeah. Oh yeah, the ticket prices are just obscene.
The cheapest one is like $5,600. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's absurd. And with like with Eagle Bet in Arizona too, like they're expecting a huge weekend. Oh, and speaking of which, I didn't even mention this.
Mm.
This Friday as well.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an action-packed weekend for me. This Friday as well. My roommate and I are going to the Waste Management Phoenix Open.
Yeah, buddy.
So it's gonna be a 4:30 wake up call for me.
Damn.
I've scheduled an Uber for 5 a.m. to take
Already.
to take us up to TPC Scottsdale.
Hmm.
We're gonna get in line. Gonna hopefully be there around 5:30 ish. Gates open at I think 7.
Okay.
Get
So,
in line.
Hour and a
my
half early.
Yeah, we got to get in line, and then from there it's a mad dash. First come, first serve for the 16th hole.
Damn. So are you gonna like get on your horse and
Yeah. So Jace, my roommate, and I are looking at routes and potentially where we go
yeah.
because we like. I mean, we both played sports in high school for a long time. We both
Mhm.
consider ourselves athletic people.
Sure.
We think we can findangle our way up to the front
Oh yeah.
and get a good seat. I've watched all the Barstool videos on it and stuff where they all run and whatnot, and it doesn't look too bad. We'll see when we're there, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm super excited for that.
All those sprints are gonna finally pay off.
Yeah, all those bag skates last year.
All the bag skates.
All the bag skates in Springfield last year are gonna pay dividends
off when
for
it matters
me.
most. So who are some big names competing?
You name them. I mean, just Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Spieth. Literally, like it's at this point, it's like who isn't playing in this tournament? Because like the players love it.
Yeah.
First of all, it's Phoenix in February. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh,
by the way, it was minus 36 here the other day.
Oh.
Continue.
Do I'm gonna give today got up to 21 Celsius.
Nice.
Which hold on, let me do the American calculations. Which for my friends is 70. Got up to 70 in Phoenix today for the American friends.
For the Americans, yeah.
But yeah, like it's the players love it too. Because obviously the 16th hole is the stadium hole.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm ready to go there and have a great time. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
That should be sick. And you said, is it the Saturday or the Friday?
Friday.
Okay. So what a weekend it is. And the Super Bowl is on Sunday, and great stuff. So we don't really have too much left to talk. Well, we can briefly talk about the championship games. I was actually working that PHF thing on championship Sunday. So I barely saw any of the Chiefs Bengals. I watched the highlights, and I saw some of the Eagles Bengals. They had it on a TV we were setting up. But I can't remember what you said exactly, but at least for the AFC, I said
Bengals Eagles. So I was I was 1 for. You were 0 for.
I was 0 for 2. I mean, it was just ugly. It was ugly, but I'm very happy actually that the Bengals lost, because I don't want to see Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl.
You have. I keep forgetting Chargers fans have a narrative against Joe Burrow. Nope. It's stupid.
Well, the thing do I respect him? Yes. Do I want him to make it in the Super Bowl? No. And I feel like every guy who's not a Bengals fan should have something against Joe Burrow, because you can't talk about football with any female in North America without one of the first 2 people that they mentioned being Joe Burrow.
I mean, he's a good-looking guy.
Good-looking chap, but he's public enemy number 1 out there.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah. In a lot of respects. But anyways, in that AFC Championship game, it was a close one. Obviously, so many people complained about the refereeing in that game.
Well, and the refereeing's a hot topic in the Super Bowl as well. I know that.
Yeah.
Based on the officiating crew coming up, but
the officiating crew, absolutely. And the whole NFL script thing came out.
Oh, that gets me so angry. Yeah. I hate whenever, like, there's so many examples. There's so many, like, there's just too many examples. Like, you really think the NFL is just gonna torture the 49ers at the position of quarterback? Hey, Trey Lance, you were picked 3rd overall? Yeah, go sit on go get injured in the 3rd game.
I mean, the script, it's outrageous, but it's led to some fantastic memes on behalf of
it. Has, but at the same time, like, there's people who are actually like buying into it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's actually idiots. There's actually idiots buying into it now.
No basis.
It's getting to the point where it's like, where this, like, I don't know if it's right to say this or not, but the whole like Damar Hamlin conspiracy.
Yeah, that's outrageous. Ridiculous.
But how his apology video was CGI and how he really died. Like that's a friggin' football player you're talking about. Yeah. You're saying that the NFL is going to script that?
That's a human being.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
In my opinion, just disgusting.
I completely agree.
And by the way, he's posted like 2 more videos on Instagram, and all the comments are like, well, conspiracy theorists are really quiet now. It's like, yeah, because the dude is alive. And it was just announced today he's going to play pro football again.
Yeah. Suck on that one, conspiracy
Yeah,
theorist. Yeah.
the fact that there's people buying into this whole the NFL is scripted just based on one Barstool podcast, stupid.
We love Barstool, but yeah, those kind of a it was I think it's so ridiculous, but at the same time it's so funny. Not that people believe it. I think that's kind of sad. But the memes were it got so popular that even
Yeah.
ESPN released some of their own versions of script memes, which you just never see happen because usually
No,
it's too
yeah,
politically incorrect for a corporate company to be posting about that on social media. But it gained a lot of traction. It was big news, regardless of if you liked it or not. But that was pretty funny. On the other side of things, the NFC Championship game, complete domination on behalf of the Eagles. Of course, Brock Purdy got hurt in the course of that game. And is the game different if he was fully healthy? I don't think that the Niners would have won, but certainly probably would have been more of a game.
the Eagles were just flat out the better team.
Yeah. And brings us to the Super Bowl. We're not going to give our predictions this episode. We're going to have a special episode, 2 episodes this week.
It's a 2-for-1 special.
There you go. 7-Eleven deals coming to the Fantasy Cast. And it's going to be focused around fun topics like prop betting. We did something similar last year, so we're going to have some fun prop bets. We're going to look at scenarios, some betting stuff, and ultimately give you our predictions. And yeah, it should be lots of fun because the Super Bowl
potentially give our Super Bowl menus of the day.
Oh my goodness.
It's going to be
That's going to be a big ass menu, let me tell you right now.
Because I know we were at a friend's house last year on our team in Springfield. We were at his house for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And like the spread they put out was pretty cool. It wasn't anything like outrageous per se, but it like good amount of food there.
Yep.
You know, you had like your buffalo chicken dip, you had your wings, your sliders, a little bit of pizza, like, you know, your staple foods. But even like growing up in Buffalo, I remember people would go all out for the Super Bowl. But I'm intrigued to see like what this year's gonna hold for me.
Yeah, well, it should be exciting. Yeah, all I know is that if you're at a party, personally, I'm not a big Super Bowl party guy at all. I prefer to like to focus on the game and actually watch the game and stuff like that. By the way,
really, I thought, yeah, really,
yeah,
I would have pegged you as a big Super Bowl party guy. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, like,
see, if I was to go to a Super Bowl party, I'd want you to come with me because I feel like you'd be a lot of fun at a Super Bowl party.
I appreciate that. I think it would be fun. Like
only if the Chargers or Joe Burrow are not in the Super Bowl. Because if the Chargers are in the Super Bowl, I would not say, hey, my buddy Ty's coming as well.
Yeah. No.
Because you'd be locking yourself in a dark room.
Yeah, just with my dad and my brother and just shacked up waiting to put a bullet in our foot if something bad happens. But dude, if it was a normal Super Bowl party, I'm trying to like enjoy the pregame beforehand to the point where I'm confident rolling into that thing, not grabbing a cracker for the buffalo chicken dip and just going 2 fingers scoop in front of everyone. just I want to you want to be enjoying that thing if you're rolling up to a Super Bowl party.
All I'm saying is if I invite you to a Super Bowl party and I introduce you to people that you might not know, please never 2 fingers scoop the buffalo chicken dip because I will be walking straight out if that happens. Please never
get kicked out, and you'd never be able to bring me anywhere else. Yeah, it's despicable, isn't it? But I'm not saying I'll do it. I'm saying you want to be confident at rolling into one of these things that you don't need to know anyone in the room, even if it's your own family or complete strangers. But yeah, the plans are not finalized for the Super Bowl yet on my part. No 2 finger dipping on the table yet.
No, but, I will never be doing that.
But should be fun. It's shaping up to be a fantastic game. Definitely 2 of the best teams. I'd say the 2 best teams in the NFL this year.
I mean, we haven't had 2 1 seeds in a while.
Yeah, it has. Yeah. It has. I can't even remember the last time it's been 2-1 seasons.
Because last year's postseason was crazy.
Yeah. Awesome. Last year's NFL season in general was just so good.
Well, last year's regular season was pretty boring, and then the playoffs were some of the most exciting football games could see.
Yeah. I mean, it's at least the quarterback matchup,
Well, yeah.
right. At least this year, it's two of the best quarterbacks in the league, two black quarterbacks. That's the first time in NFL history that's happened. And
It's huge.
in Black
Awesome.
History Month as well, which is
Yeah.
pretty neat.
Andy Reid going against his former team.
Against
Second-year head coach Nick Sirianni.
Yeah. All big stuff. That's only
who,
the
by the
fifth
way,
time that. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
By the way, I did not see the reporter who asked Nick Sirianni if Sunday was a must-win game. I couldn't pick him out.
Dude, that's like
I had people asking me actually if there was if I knew who that guy was, and I don't. I would have had some very choice words for him as a journalism student.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I think I'd be preparing if I knew that I was going to that thing like weeks in advance. What questions I would, or at least a week in advance, what I'd be asking, and to land on that, that's sort of like that's very Booger McFarlane-esque or Joe Buck. This Game 7 is a must-win for both teams esque, and I feel like you'd want to.
But in that sense, like he like Joe Buck does that unironically, like he just says it.
Sure.
That reporter actually like had to have a conscious thought and have to like write that down and then say, "Hey, do you think this Sunday is a must-win game?" What an idiot! What an idiot!
Come on, you got to be better than that. You got to be better.
I just hope he doesn't work for Cronkite News. That's all I hope.
All you know is that this guy is your broadcasting partner for the softball game, and not.
I know my broadcast partner for the softball game.
Oh, thank God. Then it's not that guy. But yeah. Well, that's I don't know if it's a good or bad thing that you didn't see that guy then, because that's got a pretty pathetic question to ask, regardless of. Yeah, he had to write that down. It'd be funny to find out if he didn't write that down and he just said that just because he felt like it. Props to him, but Sirianni had to deal with that in his first Super Bowl appearance. But on the other side, Andy Reid too. That's only the fifth time in NFL history that an NFL coach is facing their former team in the Super Bowl, and should be neat because Reid never won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. But he had
a great tenure though in Philadelphia.
Absolutely, he's still their best coach. Still the best coach in Eagles history, and I mean he couldn't do it with Donovan McNabb, even though they made it. I don't know if they made it I think they made it several times with them. I know they made it once for sure. And they made a bunch of NFC Championship games, but never able to quite win that illustrious trophy. But should be a fantastic game, and we're gonna have a great preview for you coming up in the next episode. Might even have a guest or two. Who knows? The full part-timer might be back. God knows what's gonna happen. We're just going with the flow. Lochlan's in the heart of the Super Bowl right there. We hope you enjoyed this episode. It was unorthodox, but you got to hear a lot of inside scoop about Super Bowl Media Day, stuff that you probably won't hear anywhere else. And I'm already looking forward to the next episode.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Should be great stuff. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you later this week.